I had always heard really good things about ReZero. In fact, whenever people are discussing the best isekai anime, this anime is always brought up. Yet, I continually put off watching it for some reason or another. Then finally, after putting it off for several months, low-key maybe even a year or so, I had some free time and decided to start watching the first season. And all I can say is wow. Just wow. The premise behind ReZero is simple to understand while having a layer of complexity underneath the surface. In ReZero, a boy is transported to a fantasy world where he discovers he can return to life after death, but each time he dies, he faces the psychological toll of his choices, all while trying to save those he cares about from an ever worsening fate. The premise is easy to understand, but once I started watching it, I recognized how the story will continue to garner my attention. This narrative has so much to uncover. Every restart by the main character, Subaru Natsuki, is not in vain. Yes, it allows for Subaru to try again and attempt to do something better this time around, but it also provided me with information about the world that was necessary in appreciating the way this story is being told. Seeing Subaru struggle to save those closest to him is interesting, but that's not the only thing of intrigue. I was uncovering, or attempting to uncover, the reason why this specific phenomenon was happening to Subaru, while understanding the politics at play surrounding our main cast. This anime has a lot going on, and despite that, it doesn't feel overwhelming. There's always something to look for or attempt to understand while watching the narrative unfold in front of you. While the first episode or two were a bit slow for my tastes, once everything was established and set up, the series took off and it never seemed to slow down. And that made watching it truly enjoyable. The idea of Subaru's restart ability works very well when paired alongside the mystical and mysterious elements this world has to offer. Like I mentioned previously, there's a lot to explore, uncover, and understand within this first season, and this narrative does a pretty good job with how it gives us information for the most part. I do wish there was a bit more of a focus on explaining certain magical details, but that's probably more of a personal preference, and these details might be explained in more depth in later seasons. I found that ReZero does a really good job in utilizing its world to help push the narrative while using the narrative to showcase the world. For example, certain individuals and factions are introduced, and their introductions not only create narrative drama and tension, but they also provide a bit of information about the world. These individuals either showcased the current political structure, unveiled important history, or provided important context for particular circumstances. This symbiotic relationship between the world and the narrative is one of the strengths of the series, at least in this first season. There were several times where I paused the show in order to process the new information that was given to me and attempted to put everything together. And I truly enjoy shows that lead me to do that. The overall premise of this anime also allows for the characters to be explored in ways that felt distinct. Many characters, from the main character to the auxiliary characters, were handled in ways that made me appreciate and care, which is important, care about their role within the story. The character progression of Subaru Natsuki is one of the most interesting character arcs that I've seen in a while. Seeing his character go through various events that lead to a change in him was intriguing and at times saddening. The lengths that Subaru is forced to go through in order to achieve his goals is at times hard to watch, which made his successes all the more celebratory. It also aided in the story not feeling stale, but I'll touch on that more later in the video. Seeing Subaru Natsuki's growth or regression through the story brought about emotions of enjoyment or frustration because he felt like a real character and not just someone filling a main character role and checking off boxes for a character archetype. With all that being said, there were moments where I wished he would do better. I understand that given how the story works, he's experienced severe amounts of trauma. Yet, there were instances where I wished he would learn from his past lives instead of responding solely out of emotion. I do understand though that that's the nature of trauma. It affects individuals in different ways. This by no means ruined the character of Subaru for me, but it was something that bothered me at times while watching this first season. Subaru's restart ability didn't only aid in developing and showcasing his character, it was also utilized to showcase the characters of the rest of the cast. Every series of events experienced by Subaru showcased the personalities, the quirks, and the allegiances of those he spends time with. And depending on what occurred leading up to the certain event, we get to see different traits for these individuals. These traits and characteristics aren't just random responses used in order to evoke different outcomes or present possible problems, they're displays of the different parts of the varying characters' personalities. The various traits that we see on display are dependent upon the actions of others, the character's personal history, and the situations they find themselves in. And even when Subaru resets his existence, we know that the traits we saw previously are still present in the characters, and that the only thing that's uncertain is if they'll be showcased in the same way this go around. Choosing to show us the various characters and their personalities in relation to Subaru's restart ability is both necessary and genius. Given the story being told, highlighting the world and characters through the use of the restarts is the best way to effectively incorporate the premise with the world and the characters. And because of how easy it would be to mess this up, doing so in an effective and enticing way makes this anime that much more engaging. These ever-changing responses show off the dynamicism of the characters that exist alongside Subaru and allow them to also feel like fully understood individuals. I was allowed to understand their motives and see who they truly are. Episodes were enhanced due to how they showed off the cast, and I was able to grow attached to them pretty quickly. And like I mentioned previously, because they're the same characters, even when Subaru restarts, growing attached to them doesn't feel pointless. Due to the dynamic nature of all the people in this anime, the situations are allowed to go off the charted course, which showed me new sides of the characters on screen and provided me with a better understanding of all the story's moving parts. The characters were quite enjoyable, they uplifted the viewing experience, and they helped keep the story from feeling stale. Repetition can be a blessing, a curse, or both for this kind of narrative. On one hand, utilizing repetition can be effective at showcasing various sides to a situation or individuals within a familiar setting, like what I mentioned before, but a story that feels too repetitive runs the risk of feeling stale after a while. I am here to assure you that this first season never felt stale to me. This was accomplished by what I discussed so far and also in the weight carried by each restart. Now, I haven't touched too much on the emotional weight carried by Subaru with each restart, so to put it simply, he is deeply traumatized by the time season 1 comes to an end. The experiences he's gone through and what he's been forced to endure are enough to drive anyone mad, yet he's forced to move forward or risk repeating the same existence over and over. Subaru's ability isn't presented as a simple do-over. He dies time and time again, yes, but some of these deaths are truly horrific, and that pain is not only felt, but stored in his psyche. And that's what keeps the story from feeling stale. There are repercussions to Subaru's restart ability, so even if he chooses to end it all in order to restart, I knew that it would come with a cost. Introducing consequences to an otherwise broken ability made me root for his successes and loathe the times when I knew he would be forced to restart. Subaru's restart ability has this duality. At times it feels like a saving grace, and other times it felt like a curse upon his existence. And this reality kept me emotionally invested throughout the story. ReZero Season 1 was a very fascinating story. I didn't expect to enjoy this anime as much as I have been, and I'm happy that I finally got around to watching this anime. I now see why it's held in such high regard. At the time of recording, I'm actually halfway through Season 2, and I'm really enjoying myself thus far. But those are my thoughts. I want to know yours. Let me know down in the comment section what your thoughts are on the first season of ReZero, or ReZero as a whole, but just please no spoilers past Season 1. Also, if you've made it this far, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one, since if you made it to the end, you obviously like my videos, like, yeah, duh. Or hopefully you do at least. Also, if you're on Blue Sky, give me a follow. I'll link my account down in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate it, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. So, two things here. One, Patrichet, the ground dragon that's Subaru's about like halfway through Season 1 to like the end of it. Great character, love Patrichet, love her, she's great, love her. I want to say that, didn't know where to say it. Yeah, love her. Also, why has Subaru not learned how to fight yet? Like, I know he won't become like the strongest in the world because of his ability. That's not my intent with asking why he doesn't fight. But like, there are so many situations where him having some ability to like fight, whether with magic or with a sword or something, would be really useful. I feel like if he spent time learning how to handle himself in combat, the situations he finds himself in wouldn't be as dire, at least sometimes, at least like 1% of the time, than they actually end up being. You know what I'm saying? Like, I I feel like it'd be a useful thing to learn how to do, but maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm too shonen fight focused, right? But I just feel like a little bit of focus on fighting or handling and defending yourself would be helpful in this world, given what we were exposed to. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. But that's all I got to say.